How long is this thing? Okay. Not that I'm complaining about it. Just.
It's not that long.
Stay tuned.
All right. Well,
Where's Star?
Kyle, if you're listening, I think that's the theme song for our new show, by the way. Okay. Once again, I forgot to put the fade. So, mental note, somebody remind me later to edit the fade on there. Hello and welcome to episode number 57 of the At U2 podcast, talking all things U2, album news, tour dates, community discussions, and country bands that the band has been disguised as for this episode. You can find this podcast at goodstuff.fm/ATU2, and I am joined for this episode by Matt McGee. Hello, Matt. Pause.
Chris, how are you?
I am well. And we're also joined by the illustrious chief head, I don't know what your official title is, of the Dalton Brothers fan club. Miss Sherry is joining us as well.
Yes, I will admit I probably am the world's leading fanatic of all things Dalton Brothers, and I think Edge would probably run away from me if he ever saw me.
Yes.
Because I keep trolling him about it. We're going to take this question from Sherry from Duxbury. Oh, hi, Edge.
Yes, if you've gotten a question,
she's asking about the Dalton Brothers again.
Yeah. That's
just answer her question and she'll go away. You know?
No, she won't.
No, she won't.
That's another checkbox in your, should we legally block this person from ever attending a YouTube show? For the audio listeners, not the video viewers, you can't see, Sherry actually has an unofficial Dalton Brothers t-shirt as well, and mug, right?
Yes, this was a arts and crafts project done by Little Miss on my, it's an early Mother's Day gift.
Wow.
So
you're even getting the kids involved in this?
I think that's where we call social services or something.
Yes, it is. That is so true.
No, we kid. And
hey,
it's not.
Hey, the Daltons have borrowed a great deal of money from me, and I'd like it back. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think with those hoodlums you're going to get it back. So, but yes, for the we'll be diving deep, at least for 5 to 10 minutes on the Daltons, because there isn't a whole lot we can.
Right, like.
But we'll save that for the roundtable at the end.
Sherry suggested this podcast. I'm like, really? Like, what are we going to talk about?
Because we were talking about B-side podcasts, and then the band went and did like crazy stuff, like actually, get ready for a tour in that.
And then you convinced Chris to not make it a B-side, but to make it a full-length podcast about the Dalton Brothers. I assume we're just like, I have the lyric. I think we're just going to like read lyrics out loud or something like that.
What she doesn't know, we'll edit it down, so it's just actually a file. Okay. This is just you should see the long list of messages I have from Sherry about this. So no.
We do 2 kinds of podcasts.
Okay, save the Daltons. Hello, U2 fan. Thanks for watching. Save the Dalton Brothers for the roundtable. First of all, I thought in addition to, since we have so much to cover with the Dalton Brothers, we dip into the mailbag as well and just get some of the older questions that maybe didn't quite fit into episodes, didn't quite get covered, answered. So I think this will work here on the video side as well. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but first question up was that's in the wrong order here. Let's just bring that down.
No, it's not possible to curb the laughter during the podcast.
Yeah, so
we're all friends
pop
having
fart,
a
which
friendly
is a great
conversation.
So somebody whose name is @popfart is giving us a hard time about something?
And I'm nervously laughing about it. I think I'm guessing it's my laughter. I don't know who's the nervous laughter. But I'm telling you right now, Pop Fart, I'm not nervous. That's just how I sound. So I guess there's the unsubscribe button if you don't like it. All right, question number 2 from R.A. Burns, does Mr. McPhisto still use a telephone to call a taxi, or does he use an Uber now? What do you think? He'd be using Uber. He'd be with the times.
No, I think that he would be using Lyft.
True. Maybe. Although Uber's pretty evil. They're pretty evil these days.
Right, but remember, McPhisto has the shoes that give him extra lift.
Oh, I see how you did that. Okay. I have no reply. I have no reply on this question because this is so out of the blue.
Yeah, these are just random questions, like I said, nothing to do with Dalton.
So there's no theme here.
No. Fabiano Mad, who's unfortunately can't tune in today, but will be listening later somewhere in the world. I would really like to listen to one entire podcast about all relevant U2 books. And I know Matt, on the video version, is about to go prepare his rebuttal. But that
would be a 4.5 hour podcast.
Matt's response, I know, is there is only one U2 book, which he's holding up, U2 A Diary, which is written by Mr. Matt McGee. But there's actually a new one just added. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
I'd be glad to talk about all relevant U2 books named U2 A Diary.
We should have you.
Yes.
In
U2 Polish, though, Matt.
Yeah, the Czechoslovakian version, right? Don't you have that? Oh, now he's got to go get that.
Yes, there is a brand new book hitting shelves like early last week, right?
There we go. U2 of Wonvnik.
That's the Croatian version.
Right. So some lucky listener will get that someday.
That's a good idea though for a podcast. I think we could do that, don't you?
When Tim Neufeld, who really wanted to be on here, and we'll hear from a little bit later, has a book that's out as well, which you can check somewhere for. A link will be in the show notes
Amazon.
for sure. Well, Amazon, yeah. What's the name? I don't have the name off. Tim Neufeld.
Rock and Roll to Change the World.
There we go. Rock and Roll Change. That's a better title than I had.
Edited by Scott Calhoun, by the way, who is behind the U2 Confab. So it's chock full of greatness.
Yeah. If you're a U2 fan, you'll definitely dig it on many levels. Next question was, or comment, at Steve_Doza. Will there be any difference between USA Europe Joshua Tree shows, or much difference between nights 1 and 2? Minor song changes, like i.e. I am of the opinion that it'll be fairly straightforward. They might have 1 or 2 little tidbits, as if there's multiple nights or whatever, but I think it's going to be a fairly straightforward set list. What do you guys think? Consistent set list, I guess, is what I'm saying. Matt?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's only like a few cities where they're even doing 2 shows, right? I mean, most it's one city. So yeah, I mean, there hasn't. That's funny. There hasn't been any chatter about like there was with the last tour, right? When that was like the thing, or how much is it going to mix up between night and one, because the whole tour last time pretty much was at least 2 shows per city. But this tour is mostly just one. One show per city. There's some cities that get 2, but not many.
I think that the American-centric message will definitely shift. I know that there's a concern up in Vancouver that they may be trying out some of the messaging that they want to use for the States, but it's not going to go over too well because they're in Canada. I can't see how certain aspects of the show in the U.S. will transfer over to Europe, because they're not going to want to hear the American message. I think that the messaging will be different, but the music will be the same.
Yeah, the sort of the rant, the Bono rant at one point, the Bullet the Blue Sky discussion and visuals will be slightly different, but they'll kind of more or less set list would stay consistent between shows, probably. It feels like it's
of course, if whatever craziness is going on in the world in 3 months from now, we don't even know what's going to happen 3 hours from now. So, anything.
Well, hopefully we'll be done talking Dalton Brothers by then.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think
you never know?
You never know. We might have episode 2. There might be so much stuff we have to talk about. We come back.
Exactly. Sandalwood is the smell of Betty Dalton's perfume, by the way. Sold exclusively at Nordstrom.
All right, next question was another suggestion. Patrick Dupuis, a topic for podcast, YouTube graphic design, pictures, and cover albums, which would be also another great discussion. Thank you, Patrick, and is on our list. Will be added to our list.
Especially now that we've got this whole video thing going, and I'm just amazed that you're like, if people are watching the video, you're like pulling tweets in, and it's just like, this is like really awesome. So
Yeah, it'll hopefully there's the YouTube version that gets thrown up later that'll be linked thrown up. That's a nice way of saying it, but linked up later in the show notes. If you're listening and want to check it out later, you can watch it through on YouTube. And there's been a couple hundred people watching some of those videos, so it's kind of cool just to give a visual version. I know there's been good comments or feedback on for whatever reason getting to see the faces, our faces behind the voices, which is kind of weird. But anyways, next question.
Somebody said after they watched one of our videos and they said, Matt McGee doesn't look anything like what I expected. And I'm always, when people say that, I'm always tempted like, what did you expect?
Yeah, it's true. It's like, what? Can you draw a picture of what you thought I looked like?
I'm just like the curiosity, really.
Yeah. It's vanity and curiosity, right? It's
yes, exactly.
One part's vanity, one part's
guilty as charged.
At Real Chris Taylor, question: I wonder why Eno and Lanois haven't done more live tour TV or video with U2 since they've been a huge part of many of their albums. And my response would be, I think they sort of go back and forth between being really happy to be involved with all the U2 stuff, and then also like, hey, I have my own career also. I don't need to be asked about Achtung Baby over and over and over. And Lanois especially sort of seems to go from comfortable and fun to bristly, grouchy old man at times, when depending on his mood. So I don't know.
He's done some interviews in the last year or three where, like, some of his comments were like very praiseworthy of the band, but then he also says, like, I don't remember the exact quote, but he's basically saying that it's torture working with them in the studio, and so which. And we've heard the stories, about the Joshua Tree recording and, wanting to throw out Streets because they worked on it forever and forever. So, yeah, I wonder if maybe it's not a desire on both sides to do something else.
And they're probably just sick and tired of being asked about this one particular band when they've worked with so many others, including, their own work.
Yeah, whereas someone like Steve Lillywhite, with the Joshua Tree reissue and Red Hill Mining Town remix and stuff, seems generally happy. I mean, he's probably just maybe a more chill guy to be with, I guess.
That could be, yeah.
Eno say in an interview that Lillywhite basically commercialized the music that they had worked on. So Eno wasn't quite happy with how the Joshua Tree ended up because Lillywhite ruined it.
Right. Yeah, so there may be some, he's disappointed that all the 16 layers of ethereal background sounds were removed from Red Hill Mining Town or whatever.
Right.
But anyways, I think that's why probably in answer to your question, Real Chris Taylor. So thanks for sending those in. You can send those in on Twitter if you use a hashtag #AskAtU2. And somebody forgot to remind me, myself, to go check the forum because I posted in there and then I forgot to go check the follow-up. So apologies to forum folks if you did comment. We'll get those next time. Well,
I'll go check. You guys,
okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at our agenda for the show and I see the section where it says the Dalton Brothers and there's like nothing listed there. So I'm just all nervous what we're going to talk about right now.
It's all in Sherry's head. Don't worry.
Usually for those that... Chris puts these agendas together with here's what, and usually there's like this whole block of stuff that we're going to talk about. And it says the Dalton Brothers, and then there's nothing on the page. Ah!
So, Sherry, while Matt goes and hunts through the forum, I guess by way of introduction to the Daltons and what we're actually talking about, what, who, and why are the Dalton Brothers?
The Dalton Brothers are a alter ego of U2, where Bono is Alton Dalton, Edge is Luke Dalton, Adam is Betty Ballou Dalton, and Larry is Duke Dalton, who apparently was blind at some point, but now he can see. It's all a blur, really, and based on their history. They first appeared November 1st in 87 in Indianapolis, opening for U2, and then they appeared again on November 18th, 87 in LA. And then their last known performance was December 12th of 87 in Hampton, Virginia. They then, the following year.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm going to correct the Dalton Brothers expert on some of this. So, but go ahead.
Hey, this is coming right off of At You Too, Matt. So if you're going to correct me on something, we need to fix the website.
That's the section of the website that you did, right?
It says special thanks for assistance. You had to approve it, buddy.
Go ahead. We're gonna have a podcast fight here. Who knew that the Dalton Brothers would be so controversial?
2 years later, in '89, they accepted an award, which we have video footage of, as the Dalton Brothers. So it's with those special appearances that the myth of the Daltons just took off. And for me, I found it absolutely fascinating that here's a band that was so set on wearing its heart on its sleeve and so serious, and that they're using this alter ego to have a little bit of fun, to basically troll their own fan base, and to I think it was Tim Neufeld might have said this a few hours ago during a radio slot or something along those lines, that the Daltons might have been the start of the whole putting on different characters. So this might actually be the very start of how Bono came to create the Fly character. So I just enjoy the fact that they had fun with it, that they created something that that just made everybody stop and say, what the heck is going on here? And taking on such a historic name, because the Daltons themselves were some pretty bad boys with the original Dalton gang, and we have a bit of history on that on @youtube.com/Daltons.
Yeah,
that who the real Daltons were, and they were some pretty bad mofos.
So, but you mentioned Tim. Well, I'm just going to play a little clip Tim sent in, just of his recollection of actually seeing the Daltons, which I know both of you were also there, right, when they
I was
performed?
not.
Oh, you weren't? Oh, okay.
No.
This is
I
all
was.
right. Yeah, but Matt was. Okay, here is from Tim Neufeld.
Hey, friends. Sorry I can't be with you today. It would be a blast to talk about the Dalton Brothers, because I can honestly say that one of the reasons I'm a U2 fan today is because of November 18th, 1987 at the LA Coliseum. That was my first U2 concert, and the very first thing I remember is that I was sitting way, way up high at the top of the Coliseum, and I'll never forget when, the organ came on for Where the Streets Have No Name, and Edge walked out, and the Olympic flame, the torch went on, and the crowd was just in, and there were like 70,000 of us, just singing our hearts out, Where the Streets Have No Name. But something odd happened long before that, before the Pretenders, before the Bodines, and there was this little country band that came out, and they said, the only music we sing is country and Western. And so I was there early enough, but the stadium wasn't nearly full, and I just kind of tuned them out, because it wasn't, we didn't have internet. We weren't swapping messages back and forth. We didn't have a forum or Twitter or anything like that. So I had no clue that was Bono standing out there, and that was Edge in a dress. And I had no clue that they were opening for themselves. When I was home a few days later and I heard about it in the LA Times and read the article and it thought about the genius of that move, that I had been whooped, that I had been pranked by the band that I love so much, I thought there's something in these guys that's much deeper than the average rock and roll artist. And that hooked me. And I actually think the Daltons were kind of the inspiration even for characters that would be played later on in their career, for the whole 90s, of irony and misdirection and persona, and all the parts that Bono would play and the others. So it's a great honor and thrill to have been there in the LA Coliseum when the Daltons were in town. And Daltons, if you're listening, come on back. We need you more than ever. All right. Thanks. Take care.
So thanks, Tim, for sending that in. And so Matt, I don't know, what's your recollections of seeing the Daltons come on stage?
So I was at the same show that Tim just described, and my memory is that Bodine's came on for, and this could be wrong. I mean, this was 30 years ago, right? But my memory is that Bodine's came on first, and then the Pretenders were supposed to come on second. But before that, somebody came out and said something like the Pretenders are running late, or what? They got stuck in traffic, or again, details kind of sketchy. So my memory is that it was the Daltons after Bodine's, and they were just introduced as this little country act, and they came out. And so I was sitting, I think Tim described himself as being all the way at the top. I was on Edge's side of the stadium. I was about halfway back in the stadium. So like maybe the 50-yard line, if you're, thinking in terms of football fields. And I was about halfway up the stands too. So maybe closer than Tim was, I don't know, but so far enough away that they just looked like ants on the stage to me. And I had no idea. You see the long hair, they're wearing all their wigs. I had no idea it was them, and I don't remember. And Tim said in that clip, he said that he remembers reading about it a couple days later in the LA Times. I don't know if I even read about it then. I don't know when I figured out that it was U2 opening for themselves. But I know I did, that I just ignored them as an opening act. I was just like, okay, I guess we'll just wait an extra 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And I was totally in the dark, totally clueless, had no idea. And I would imagine that would be the case for almost everybody in the stadium, unless you were like in the front, 20, 30 rows or so, and you could actually see close enough to maybe tell that it was, the actual band members underneath the hats and the wigs and all that sort of stuff. But it was crazy. It was just, it was bizarre.
You have to think Larry, of anybody, just looking at some of the pictures, would be the most identifiable, maybe? I don't know. It's hard to know, again, like putting yourself back in the shoes of 30 years ago U2 fans, and how, they were just becoming hugely popular then too. And so it wasn't that their image was as well known as it would be, in later years if they tried to do the same thing on Zoo TV or something, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And as Tim kind of hinted, like it had happened in Indianapolis, as Sherry said, so what we saw in LA wasn't the first time, but we had no way of knowing that at the time. There was no, it's not like you open up the LA Times and they have, reviews from the Indianapolis show or anything like that. There's obviously no internet to get that information. So it was such a different time, and it was perfect for that time, and they couldn't get away with it now. It's just, that's the kind of thing that, I don't think the secret would be let out, pretty much right away. So yeah, it was crazy.
And the beauty of, I think it was the LA performance, is that that's featured on the Joshua Tree anniversary, 20th anniversary box set. I know that I put up on social media how to get to the Easter egg in order to unlock the performance.
Right.
But if you get to the Easter egg, the clue is Betty, and then it launches into the two song set.
And it's the full concert, or video of the concert of them.
It's performing? The video of the Dalton Brothers set. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. Because I noticed on the lyrics page, which I'm sure is updated regularly for the Daltons, there's a version of Lucille played in Hampton, and then a version of Lucille with slightly different lyrics in LA, and then Lost Highway. There's sort of 2.5 songs kind of that they've mastered.
You could say that, yeah.
And then you have on Outside It's America, although it wasn't the Daltons per se, you've got the Oh Jeannie, You're My Enchilada, You're My Chili Con Carne song while they're on the plane towards the beginning. That's one of my favorite tunes to sing while we're walking into a Mexican restaurant.
So just to add to the little history that Sherry gave, we don't call this a Dalton Brothers appearance, but if you go back earlier a couple months, right before the Joshua Tree tour resumed in September, of '87. They did that radio show called Trip Through Your Wires, and it was Carter Allen and a couple other DJs, and the band was in there. And as I wrote in my book,
do you want us to pause so you can hold it up again?
Yeah, please. As I wrote in my book, one of Edge's jokes during the show is that U2 plans to quit rock and roll and form a country band called the Dalton Brothers. To illustrate the point, he and Bono sing their country song Lucille. Later in the show, they cover Hank Williams Sr.'s Lost Highway. So technically, you could count that maybe as the very first Dalton Brothers appearance was on that radio show. So, but then they obviously weren't doing.
So wait a minute, are you suggesting that Edge is admitting knowledge about the Dalton Brothers, because in the U2.com interview in the fan club Q&A where he was questioned by yours truly, they claimed no knowledge. Are you disproving Mr. Edge on this?
Oh, I'm just telling you what he said on the radio show. I don't remember what he said. What did he say on the Q&A?
How deep does this rabbit hole go? What's Sherry infamously got her question about the Dalton Brothers on the, what was that? That was like the bonus material for the Q&A.
Yeah,
right?
that was the bonus for those paid subscribers behind the firewall. Yeah.
I don't know if we want to peel back that onion to find the truth here or not, because who knows what we might find.
All that I know is that poor Edge has had to explain this to MIT professors, to startup people, because I don't know if the Luke Dalton's theme that came before our theme song aired, but that was supposed to be a ringtone. That I had created that for a ringtone competition through a company called Hyperscore that was also sponsored by MIT, and Edge was one of the guest judges for it. And so I called it Luke Dalton's theme, which then he had to explain to people like Marvin Minsky and Todd Mackover who the Daltons were and why Luke Dalton was like an insider's, like, oh my God, this is a U2 fan type of thing. But I had a lovely conversation with Professor Minsky about the Edge regarding the Daltons in one of the MIT lecture halls. So yeah, that was kind of fun.
So that's when Sherry's first restraining order from U2 was filed.
Yes.
It wouldn't be her last behind the scenes.
I have just as many as the times I've been fired off of that U2. So exactly. Cheers, Chris.
If anybody ever wonders if we nerd out on this podcast, let's just point them to episode 57.
Yeah. All right, there wasn't anything in the forums. I think you checked, Matt, and I checked too here. Just some encouragement and enthusiasm for the episode. Right. So we'll link to that there. If you haven't ever, the forum.atu.com is a great place to go. If you, like Matt just said, want to nerd out about U2, there's a whole bunch of nerding out going on in there, yes. Obviously. So, and Johnny Feathers in there mentioned
enthusiastic intellectuals, I'd like to call them.
The Dalton Brothers do seem to point the way to Zoo TV's irony, and so, yeah. Anyways, you can read the rest of the comments in there. We'll link to that.
Sherry, what is going to happen in Vancouver or any show that you see on this current tour if they show up? What are you going to like? Are you going to survive? Are you going to be okay? Do we going to have to like call medical help? What's the?
I will have to live to tell the tale that the Dalton Brothers indeed did ride again. So I will probably need an oxygen mask, perhaps so. A little defibrillation. But I think that it will be one of those bucket list items that I can, die happy knowing that I actually saw Betty and I smelt her perfume. So that's all that I really care about.
I think we need like a fan cam on you for the whole show in case they show up.
Which it's kind of funny when you think of like a band like the Lumineers and Mumford & Sons who are opening for them for a couple of the shows or a bunch of the shows. They are kind of not country per se, but definitely like less electronic and less more acoustic-y sounding than U2 is. So it wouldn't be out of the question to like, hey, can I borrow one of the Mumfords acoustic or something and play a couple tunes with a wig on? But who knows? Go ahead, Jane.
My hope would be, though, because there is, you've got such a strong fan base going to Vancouver. You've got such a strong fan base going to Cleveland that if they were to show up, they would sort of earmark for one of those shows where they would be appreciated. I don't think showing up in, Pittsburgh, people are going to get it.
Right.
Oh,
Maybe I'm
slam on Pittsburgh.
Sorry,
Wow.
Pittsburgh
Hey,
fans.
there's still plenty of GA tickets left there.
There you go.
Yikes.
She just called you out, so no.
Hiding in the Berg is going to be upset at that comment.
Right. And I think the chances of them doing something like that at Vancouver seem low, because I think they'll want to, like, especially the opening show, they'll kind of want it to keep
All
it
the,
professional,
Yeah.
classy, whatever. Not that the Daltons aren't classy, but
Oh, they're not.
but yeah, once
No,
they
you're
sort of
right. So
settled
with
into
all the
tour,
press attention, the media
Yeah.
attention
Yeah.
and everything on Vancouver,
No. No, but Cleveland, if they don't show up in Cleveland, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just saying.
all
All
right.
right.
Well, we'll watch for that in Cleveland. Watch for the reports from July 1st, 2017 is when it all shuts down for Sherry, maybe. We have some other random stuff, but I guess I was going to say in closing about the Daltons, if we can sort of close the chapter on the Daltons here, is what?
Oh, Chris, there is no closing the Dalton Brothers chapter.
Until you actually fire Sherry and officially.
Right.
What do we like? Yes or no? Do you think they're going to actually appear? Matt, we'll go with you.
No.
Yes or no? No. Sherry,
No,
what do you?
I
Oh,
don't,
no.
and because we're going to talk. I assume we're going to talk about this. This thing that they're doing with the Ordinary Love, which I think is next on your agenda, or sometime in the, kind of makes me think that the band is not so into this whole idea of reliving the '80s as much as as much as maybe some of us fans are. So
Right.
yeah, so no, I don't think the Dalton Brothers are going to show up at all.
Sherry, you said no as well.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
I would be no as
No.
well. If you're
I'm
in the
living
chat
a
room, let
pipe
us know what you
dream,
think.
Chris.
Yeah. You can still dream. That's okay. But yeah, we were going to, I sort of mixed up the order a bit. I got excited about the Daltons and then forgot all about all of those stuff. But we're actually 2 weeks away from the opening, as we record anyways, we're 2 weeks away from the opening of the tour, right? Today's Thursday.
2
Yeah.
weeks from
2 weeks
tomorrow,
in a-
right?
Yeah, in a day. And we've had some, we tweeted out yesterday asking if any Vancouver friends were in the area, and one listener, tweeter, whatever person, Bjorn, is out there, and it looks like he's doing a bit of sneaking around and taking some pictures and stuff, so we'll put a link to a Twitter thread that where he's got some pictures. It's just, stadium stuff or whatever, and it seemed like there's some, nice trucks driving in and speakers being loaded out and
And
GA
a lot
line.
of fencing going up within a much much more depth positioning around the stadium.
And
I
then-
don't recall that at the start of 2015. You could walk right up to the window, but they're putting a lot of distance between the stadium and people being able to access it.
A
As
lot
in-
of mysterious distance, perhaps.
Ooh.
So I'm just getting the puns in since you're not doing your pun job. Anyway, a guy, Aaron Wasiliuk, just tweeted at us a couple hours ago with a shot of one of the big Joshua Tree posters on the wall of the stadium, and he just said that there's a lot of construction sounds coming from inside. So we do have a couple people hanging out around the stadium, and hopefully we'll continue to get photos and tweets and maybe some video and sound and all that sort of stuff in the not too distant future.
Yeah, because at some point they will have to turn on the amps and see if things are working and make sure the 80s era delay pedal is still functional and all that kind of stuff. And who knows, if we hear some country twang, then we'll know. Maybe the Daltons are right in. We've covered it a lot, but the Red Hill Mining Town release happened, I think, since we last talked. And I know you both picked up a copy. I don't know if you have yours handy to show the viewers.
Mine's over there. Do you want me to-
Somebody was kind enough to snag me one because I was on vacation and was nowhere near a record store. I was in the middle of the ocean.
So it's still
So
en route.
it's still in transit, yeah.
And so do you have a record player that you plan to play it on, or is it just for collections purposes, collecting?
At the moment, it's for collecting purposes. I hope for my birthday to get a record player. I used to have one, and then it mysteriously went away. So I'm hopeful that we can go all old school.
Nice.
But
So Matt, do you have? I
Matt's
was
got a
asking-
nice one.
Yeah. Do you have a record player actually to play it, or is it just going-
$29.98 from
Hot-
Hot Poop.
Hot poop? What? What is that?
Right?
Sorry. For people who are
Yeah,
listening, there's
Hot
a
Poop
sticker.
is the name of a record store in Walla Walla, Washington, the oldest independent record store in the entire state. Very well known in the industry, very famous. Hot Poop is actually one of the founding record stores of Record Store Day. And it was the only place on this side of the state that I could find that had a copy. And yes, it was incredibly expensive compared to what.
Why did they charge so much?
I don't know. Well, maybe because they knew they were the only ones getting it. I have no idea. But like all their U2 vinyl was kind of ridiculously expensive in my opinion. It's a cool store, but yeah.
Hotpoop.com. I got that domain too. Well, good for them.
Yep. Put that in the show notes.
Yeah.
Send them a little link, love.
Looks like their website is in need of an update even more than other sites. So
I think that goes for most independent record stores.
yeah, I'm sure. We did have some. What was I going to say? That's Dalton Brothers stuff. There's Twitter. U2 themselves retweeted a bunch of folks who were posting pictures of themselves with the record, and then also happened to grab. You noticed Ewan McGregor actually was tweeted or Instagrammed a little video of himself listening to Red Hill Mining Town on the day or near on or about the day, anyways, that it all came out. So very cool stuff. And Matt, are you going to actually play yours? I don't know if you answered that, or is it?
I have not yet. And I don't think I will, just because I prefer not playing picture discs.
Right.
So,
all right, fair enough.
They're for display.
Yeah.
In my life.
And
nothing like having 4 men with a spinning head.
Well, it's a lady with a spinning head.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't plan to play mine. But if forced to for the podcast or some other reason, Chris, I would do that for you.
All right. Good to know.
You let me know.
And finally, the Ordinary Love choir stuff is what I have in the notes. But can someone flesh that out a little more? Sherry, maybe?
U2.com sent out a note to fan club members that show director Willie Williams is asking fans to lend their voices to a choir, which they didn't say you had to be a good singer. So I submitted something where they're asking you to download a backing track for Ordinary Love, and where the choir, where the chorus part is, they want you to sing the chorus for a potential part of the show. They're not promising it's going to make it in the show. It may not even make it in opening night. It might be one of those things that gets added in. But you have until May 1st to submit the video through the link on U2.com. It was relatively easy for me to do. It uploads it into a box product, and that was about it. So they want you to be enthusiastic, and it doesn't matter if you can sing in tune on pitch, because they can always auto tune or just pull an Adam, just have you mouth the words and not
right.
have anything come out, which is what I hope they do with me because I can't sing. And it's such a hard song to sing too. I don't know why they picked that one, because it's so hard to sing.
Right. And so for folks who are wondering, you do have to be, as far as I can tell, you have to be a U2 fan club member, paying member, to be able to see the page to submit. So it's not an open call per se, right? That's sort of what I've gathered. I haven't been able to find anything else.
And they also own all rights in perpetuity to the end of the universe type of deal. So once you submit it, you can't claim royalties. You can't claim that your name needs to be listed as a thank you in the program or whatever. Yeah. You're just voluntarily giving it up.
So obviously the song, or not obviously, but presumably the song will be used in the concert, right? Is sort of like what it kind of lends itself to saying, that it will be there. And so it prompted a bit of like questioning of like, why would that song be there? And, like you said, why pick that one for the one with fan participation? Because it does kind of imply that they want to use it, obviously. And so does it seem like there's a logical fit for that song, a very current U2 song in a 30-year-old set list? I put to the forum.
You put to the panel.
Panel.
Sherry, you go. You go ahead with that.
No, I don't know how it's going to fit in. It's not a song that was strong on the radio. It's a song that's now what, 4 years old, 5 years old. It's something that it's going to need a little bit of explaining in the set list. And if you're looking at a stadium full of people who are all coming there to listen to the Joshua Tree, how many of them are really going to know Ordinary Love? So I don't know how they're going to anticipate the vibe of the audience with this particular song. It didn't seem to fit for me, at least. Matt, do you agree with any of that?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised with when I saw that come out from YouTube, because it was just, if you're trying to think of what songs from the last decade of U2's output they would try to pull back for this tour, that would not be one of the ones that I think makes sense in this. But see, the problem is it doesn't make sense in what you and I and maybe others have as our vision of what the show is going to be. But clearly there is some other vision or plan or whatever you want to call it for what the show could be or will be. And I mean, so I agree with Sherry. It's surprising, and I don't see how it fits. But I'm curious to know how they'll make it fit, because I have unending trust in Willie Williams to do that kind of thing. And I think Sherry, we were having a conversation on Twitter not long ago about, and Tim Neufeld pointed out that, apartheid, it's a Nelson Mandela song, and, apartheid was an issue in the 80s, and there's Silver and Gold is another song. But Ordinary Love is a love song. It's not really about South Africa. It's not really about apartheid. It's about Nelson and his wife. And so that theme, that's what I'm struggling to sort of make sense of.
The only way that I can think about it is, given global events right now and the amount of division, that they may use that as the unifying song. I know that, I would prefer to hear Ordinary Love over One any day of the week. I mean,
Blasphemy.
It could work. There's one
Sherry,
yes, one has turned into Pride for me. It's so
oh my
overused.
Gosh, that's crazy talk.
Hey,
this is the podcast that Sherry and I are just going to fight the whole thing.
And it does not necessarily reflect the views of at U2 or the staff.
Yeah.
Damn sure.
So I could see them using it to unify everybody, especially with this video where they want to get this choir or this chorus going.
That's interesting. That could be.
I can picture it being that linkage that closes out whatever they're doing to blend into Streets, where you've got the choir that can blend into the organ to lead into Streets. That's how I envision it.
Yeah, or the other thought I had was maybe just like a transition point from the Joshua Tree set, into maybe they do a modern, a greatest hits set after that or something like that. And this is kind of like the Zooropa or whatever of the previous tour, where it's kind of, or not Zooropa, the Fly, moment, kind of like, here's all of you singing back to us or whatever in some way, and then the band comes out and joins in or whatever. And
yeah.
But I think visually it could be really cool, right? Because like you said, Matt, with Willie being sort of at the helm of that kind of stuff, he could give him, like, whatever it ends up being, hundreds presumably of, if not thousands of people sending in video and having access to that to, like, sort of make something visually with all of that, regardless of what it sounds like. Could look really cool anyways on a big screen in a stadium. So.
I mean, they did the same thing on the 360 tour with Unknown Caller, right? Where they didn't have a submit singing, as I recall. It was just asking questions or something like that. Sherry, do you recall? Chris, do you recall? There was, and then they played the questions on the PA system.
Or like this, going back further, the Zoo TV confessional booth thing.
Exactly.
Whatever, a little different vibe, but...
Yeah, and I know that. I mean, they said in the announcement, there's no guarantee it'll be used. But my gut is that if they're going into all this effort, they're going to use it.
Yeah, unless they don't get enough or something, right? Like if it's Sherry and Matt of two people.
Trust me.
If you were, wouldn't do you think that there are any fans that like use this as an opportunity to like submit a video where they start singing, we can't, hey, you guys need to play acrobat. Like, is anybody tempted to do that?
Oh, I'm sure they have.
But think about the vetting process. I'm sure Willie isn't getting first crack at it. I'm sure some poor intern or dare I say a Zootopia moderator is having to cull through them and then come up with like a top 50 or I don't think Willie, let alone the band, are going to be the ones seeing it first off. So all those other ones are just going to get trashed.
I hope it's Larry. Larry has to do it.
Yes.
What
Dear Larry, I loved you in the movie that you acted in.
Name the movie.
Yeah, considering the questions and the comments that we get just to the @U2 site in email form of like, my so-and-so is dying, my so-and-so is having a wedding, my so-and-so would like to, those kind of things that we get, which obviously we understand. We're not making fun of the individual requests or anything, but just the volume of those kind of things that we get, I can only imagine the level of stuff that the band site gets directly, and people would take opportunity. It's like thinking that Bono is.
Think about all the scalpers who might actually submit something. All the people who just bought into a fan club membership just to
GA seats $500.
Exactly. All right.
Okay.
Well, I think that about settles.
Sorry to send us off on that tangent, Chris.
Dalton, no, it's all good. If you are so brave as to tweet us with your Ordinary Love submission, I don't know if is the terms and conditions that you're not allowed to share it before. I can't imagine they have that level of restriction, but don't get yourself in trouble. But if you want to tweet us with your video version on YouTube or something like that, it'd be fun to see what everybody sends in, and maybe we'll make our own little version of it before the band gets to it. But the Twitter account for @U2 is ATU2. And Matt, what's your Twitter's?
@Matt McGee, MATTMCGEE.
And Sherry, if they want to disagree about.
But the same, MATTMG MCGEE.
Wow, you guys both have the same Twitter account. That's weird how that
That
works.
is so crazy.
And I'm iChris on Twitter. Goodstuff.fm/ATU2 is where you can find this episode and previous episodes. And when I talk about links in the show notes, you can go for this particular episode, goodstuff.fm/ATU2/57. We'll show you all the links, as well as have a embedded video version of what you're listening to, I guess. And if your podcast player doesn't have show notes and links and stuff on the player, that's where you can go. Goodstuff.fm/ATU2/57. Like I said, twitter.com/ATU2, facebook.com/ATU2com. I think that's it for this episode, and we'll be back again in a couple weeks with probably either a
Vancouver.
Yeah, a pre-show or a post-show. We'll see what most likely post-show.
Mid-show.
Yeah, mid-show. We're just going to pause.
They played acrobat. Can you believe it?
What if the Dalton Brothers come on and play acrobat?
There you go. Mind's blown. All right. So thanks for listening, and thanks to Simon Peda for the theme song that you're hearing as we head out. See ya. No fade, no fade, no fade.
We're supposed to remind you to fade the music at the beginning.
Oops, oh shoot. Where's the stop button?
Supposed to be a ringtone, people.
All right. Well, thank you to the as many as 11 or so folks that tuned in live, watched, listened at some point, and U2 fan with 2 N's, if you're out there. I guess there's already a U2 fan on Twitch. If you're out there, don't be afraid, folks. You can type in the chat room. We won't embarrass you much. And I think that's it.
Yeah, I think the band painted themselves in quite the corner. How do you come out of Mothers of the Disappeared unless you do like a hard break, like a shift from, say, like an act 2 to an act 3. Mothers is such a hard song to come out of.
Yeah. Yeah, little did they know way back when. Oh, Kyle's already sent me an updated YouTube. Let me see how this works.
Now, Matt, for the South American shows back for Pop Mart, they closed with Mothers, didn't they?
Yes, I think so. I think that was the very end of the show. I would have to go to tours.atut.com to check.
Oh,
And I can do that very quickly.
Because I'm trying to think when
MOTH,
when they did
Mothers of the
perform
Disappeared,
Mothers,
22
if it was
times.
the last song.
Well, let's check. February 5th, 1998.
Santiago, right?
I've listened to that recording so many times.
It was the very last song of the show at that one.
Mask bottom. There we go.
Yeah, because that was
And the
televised
very
as
last
well.
song of the show of that one. Yeah, looks like it was. What are you doing? You're moving me all over the place.
He's coming out of my head.
I can't believe you trashed one like you did. Oh my gosh. You
Yeah,
are so fired.
You're going to get mail.
Hey, I wanted there to be a discussion point amongst everybody.
Man.
Thanks, Kyle. That's an updated overlay there. Apparently I get first name
But
billing.
we've lost
The one
Betty,
in the
though.
upper, yeah, the one covering Adam.
Where is that one? I have to find that layer now.
The one band member who can't have a microphone.
There we go. Oh, Lucille, come sit you right down with me
Stay tonight
until the morning sets you free.
I know our love
Will last forever.